On the 29th of March 2017, Britain triggered Article 50, which began a 2-year countdown until the UK needs to leave the EU. Unless all EU countries vote to extend negotiations, the transition period will end on the 29th of March 2019 and the UK will have to leave the EU. This means that if the UK doesn't secure a deal with the EU before March 2019, the UK will have to leave without any trade deals. So what would getting no deal mean for the UK? There will be a huge impact on the UK's ability to trade. Once the UK leaves the EU, the trade deals which existed between the two will be void, and the UK will begin to trade with the EU under World Trade Organization rules. A parliamentary report stated that this would almost certainly involve the immediate imposition of tariffs across a range of sectors. These tariffs go from around 2% to a huge 40%, making UK goods far less attractive to EU buyers. British farmers will be hit hard with a 30 to 40% tariff, making trade with the EU almost impossible. The finance sector would also feel a huge hit. This is particularly worrying as financial services make up 12% of the UK's tax receipts. The big issue for the UK finance sector would be the loss of passporting rights. Essentially, passporting rights allow UK banks to operate in all EU nations without having to set up subsidiaries in each country. If the UK left without any deals, banks would lose this right. The Financial Conduct Authority says that UK banks would lose £9 billion as a result of this, which would have ripple effects for the economy and employment. If the banks were to lose their passporting rights, it is very likely that they will move operations to EU nations, taking jobs and the industry with them. When it comes to laws, not much would change immediately after Brexit. The planned Great Repeal Bill would turn all EU law into UK law. Over time, MPs would be able to debate, repeal and amend laws as they see fit. Despite this, leaving without a deal would mean huge changes in legislation in certain industries. For example, if new airline treaties weren't agreed, UK airlines wouldn't be able to land in EU countries. Also, the loss of custom agreements would mean that ports and land crossings would become equally complex, resulting in large queues due to the new procedures. This is an especially big issue for the border between Northern Ireland and Ireland, an issue which we've already discussed in another one of our videos. There's a link in the description if you want to check that out. The changes in customs law would have a major effect on UK businesses. An estimated 130,000 UK businesses export to the EU, and all of these would be subject to new customs checks on exported goods. No deal would also have a major impact on the over 3 million EU citizens living in the UK and the close to 500,000 UK citizens living in the EU. For these people, their rights to live in the EU or the UK would disappear overnight. What happens to these people is still completely up in the air. All of these reasons mean that no deal wouldn't come cheap. Research from Oxford Economics estimates that leaving the EU without a deal would cost the UK £125 billion by 2020. The EU would also suffer, losing an estimated £99.5 billion in lost economic output. It's because of this that Brexit Secretary David Davis says that no deal isn't the ideal solution.
We are seeking to get a deal. That is by far and away the best option. The maintenance of the option of no deal is for both negotiating reasons and sensible security.
The problem for the UK is that the clock is already ticking and time's running out for a deal to be made. Experts are saying that for a deal to be agreed, passed through Parliament, ratified and ready for the deadline, a deal would need to be made by October 2018, which means the time is already running out. Beyond that, the point of the transitionary period is to give people and businesses time to get used to the change and the new laws and procedures brought in with it. The longer it takes for a deal to be arranged, the less time there is for transition, damaging business confidence and limiting investment in the UK. To find out about the other options the UK has, check out our videos on the EU Single Market, Customs Union and Free Trade Area. And while you're at it, make sure to subscribe to TLDR for more news and politics information.